Welcome, everybody, to It Tastes Different Gaming News. Appetizers for today. Xbox is trying to get some developers in Japan to play with them. All right. Xbox is looking for a strategic partnership, and they're hiring a position to fill that. The position will be responsible for leading a team of strategic managers in Japan. So don't just fill out that app yet. To build relationships and an Xbox ecosystem to develop games from Japan onto the Xbox. Xbox did have at one time a nice little slew of Japanese RPGs and things like that back on the 360 era near the beginning, and it's kind of dropped off. But the Series S is selling fairly well in Japan for Xbox. So it's, I'm glad to see Microsoft not throwing in the towel on Japanese development and, Japan entirely, because if you can put your foot in there and you get some of them amazing Japanese developers into your system, that's just a win for everybody. I would love to apply for it because it says right here I can work from home 100% of the time, only travel 25%. That's probably to the bathroom. And you're a people manager. So let's see here. You two are the tech guys in this group by far. So, Nick, what do you think? Is this something you could do? Could you bring Japan to Xbox? Can you bring the East and the West and make them one?
I could. I don't know Japanese, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, you watch Chainsaw Man. You're good.
Yeah, I watch some anime, so I know the language. No, this about time, right? I mean, that's basically it. During the Xbox 360 era, they did have some good JRPGs and some good, it seemed like contracts or agreements with Japanese developers, and that really kind of died off with the Xbox One. The Xbox Series is doing pretty well compared to the Xbox One in Japan. According to what I see here, they've sold around 379,000 pretty much in Japan. The Xbox 360 sold 502,000 in Japan when it was out. So it's almost caught up to, and this is within 2 years in Japan. And that the Xbox 360, that was, I believe, the lifetime of the Xbox 360. So it's definitely, it's almost caught up to the lifetime sales of the 360 in Japan compared to its sales, now with the series in Japan. So that's really good. And so Microsoft does need to start getting those partnerships with those Japanese developers and start making games, try to get some of that market share over in Japan, right? The series has kind of given them that market share, especially with the Series S. We know that Japan likes smaller consoles. They're kind of more all about that, whereas the Series X and the S are smaller in comparison to the large and in charge PlayStation 5, right? We all have all the consoles, but the PlayStation 5 is a monster and it takes up a lot of room. Regardless if you have it vertical or horizontal, it's a beast standing there. So it would be good for Microsoft to get their foothold, some sort of a foothold in Japan, because Sony has definitely, Sony's the dominant market over there, along with Nintendo. Probably Nintendo more, maybe, I'm not sure. Well, Sony's probably still got it, but I mean, I'm sure Nintendo's up there. And Xbox doesn't have much of a lead, much of a market share in Japan, and they definitely need that. And hopefully for us in the US, that means more games from Japanese developers coming to the US, more JRPGs and stuff like that. As I love JRPGs, and the more of those that we can have, and especially the more Japanese games that we can have translated and coming to the US, as well as over there being available over there in Japan, where they can get a bigger foothold in that market, as having games that those who live in Japan would enjoy playing, right? Besides the Americanized games that we all have here, right? That most of the stuff they get is everything we're making over here in the US, which is just Call of Duty spinoffs. So sometimes they have some really crazy games. I've played Japanese games, especially older ones and stuff like that, and they're much different. The ones that just come out in Japan, right? I played some of those that never came to the US, and they are much different than anything that you would expect here. But some of them are pretty fun. And so if we could have that partnership with Xbox that Sony has now, and then with Xbox, we'll get more developers over in Japan making more games, right? That will come to Xbox and maybe hopefully other companies. And that will entice more developers to make games for Xbox and bring over some of those obscure games and maybe make some more JRPGs that, we're missing out on some of those JRPGs we used to have back in the day. Because, when I was younger, a kid, we had a ton, especially on the 360, like Shane said. I mean, we got what is it? Lost
Odyssey,
yeah.
Blue Dragon,
right?
There's several more, and unfortunately, dried up.
yeah. And Square Enix made some weird JRPGs that were pretty good back then too. So I would like to see a resurgence of that, and if that's what that means, or just bringing more developers from Japan, their type of games kind of over here, I would be all more for it, especially if it's on the Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. But it's good for Microsoft to try to start getting more of a foothold in Japan, right? And kind of spread their wings there, because they do pretty well. If you look at statistics and everything like that, they do pretty well here in the US. Microsoft does with the Xbox. Just everywhere else, not so much, right? So the other countries and stuff, they do okay, but Japan is their weakest link. So if they can kind of up that'll definitely help them, and it helps us as Xbox gamers or gamers in general, right? Because we just get more games from those developers, so that's a win-win for us. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, with all the recent hoopla and hubbub about Sony and them partnering with third-party developers and restricting releases to Xbox, I think it's only a smart move for Xbox to kind of get in and make some strategic partners in Japan, just to try to help compete in that area, in that market. Yeah, I mean, Japan is dominated by Nintendo. I mean, it always has. I think the top 4 selling consoles in Japan ever are Nintendo, with Sony debuting at number 5 on the PS2. So the Nintendo Switch, which is the current iteration, is ranked number 3 as best-selling console of all time in Japan. So with it being outsold by the DS and the Game Boy Color, because they combine those two. Japan is Nintendo land out there, which, I think we all knew that, everything you see out there, they got Nintendo cafes, Nintendo this, Nintendo that. So, Microsoft doesn't even make the list out there until you get past the Segas and stuff. So they're not even debuted on the list. So, they're way, way, way down the list. And the 360 was the debut. And it's even under the Bandai Wonder Swan. So, they need something if they want to help, if they want to get into some of those JRPGs like we see that are only coming out on Switch and PlayStation anymore. Microsoft's not really got a whole lot from developers over there that's getting put over here, unless it's something that's years and years and years old. We're getting super old crap being re-brought over here, with either porting it as is or it's being remastered. Somebody's polishing the 20-year-old turd, and I still don't want to play it. It looked great 20 years ago, but we are well past 20 years. It's going to take more than a spit shine to make me want to play it. So, I mean, I do like JRPGs, but I just cannot bring myself to play an old 16-bit, 32-bit looking thing that looks long in the tooth. I just can't do it anymore. I've got too much back catalog of stuff that just doesn't make sense for me to go back to that. So for me, this sounds like a smart move for Microsoft to get a little bit of some liaison friendship going on over there, and trying to make friends with some of those development studios over there. It's how you build relationship, build bridges, so we can get some more of those games out of Japan that we all want. We want game. there's tons of games. I remember plenty of times seeing a game and being like, oh, that's really cool. And you look and you're like, well, crap, that didn't come out to the US. Or we get it 3 years later. And I'm like, well, I want it now, you know? So maybe this will help with some of that. I won't get to see a whole lot of this only in Japan, which I'm pretty sure other countries, I don't know how often a game will come out here because I'm not in those other countries. So how often does the US get a game that like Japan doesn't get, they really, really want, you know? How often does that happen? It probably happens. It probably happens more often than I'm aware of. But I really wish that we would just get some type of uniformity to where everything is released everywhere. I know that, I know that that's almost impossible, right? There's so many things like region, languages, getting all this stuff transcribed and dubbed and everything is just a mind-boggling adventure, to me. So I know it's just not really feasible. So we need to come up with this one world language and everybody learns to speak it so we can just get the damn game. So, we need to get that. We just need to be the giant melting pot of the world so everybody speaks the same and we'll all speak common, basic, whatever that turns out to be, from Star Wars, and we'll all be fine. So, but that's me. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for some more JRPGs. My wallet and time isn't ready for it because I don't have time because JRPGs are long ass games. But Shane, what do you think, man? You ready for some JRPGs? You got time for those?
I'll make time. I can cut a foot off, get a little time off work or something. No, I think Microsoft should have done this a long time ago. Are they ever going to win Japan? No, not a chance on this big old blue planet. No way now. They could make a bigger dent, though, a much bigger dent, I think, if they really push, especially with the suite of consoles they have out right now with the Series S and X. Compact sizes is something they like there. It's one of the biggest complaints about the PlayStation 5 is Gigantor. I put legs on mine and use it as a TV tray. I mean, it's huge. I love the idea of seeing more Japanese games and not just JRPGs. Love me some JRPGs, but like Nick was talking about, some of those crazy games. What was Doki Doki Literature Club? I would love to see more games like that, crazy games that we never gave thought about, and we randomly saw it. We randomly decided to give it a review, and we fell in love with it. All of us did. Even our former fourth, we all enjoyed this game greatly. It was just one of those things that only Japanese developers can do. It's just a no-brainer to try to get those people in here because I think the Japanese development is still alive and well. There for a long time, Western RPGs were really the big thing. And it scared a lot of JRPGs, and a lot of those companies started to try to develop a little more towards the Western style, but it just never really hit. So I think Lost Odyssey was like one of the best RPGs out, period. But for the 360, best JRPG out there by far. I mean, even Blue Dragon couldn't compete with it. And I love Blue Dragon. I love the art style and everything else about it. So I want to see more of that. I want to see Microsoft, really try. It's all they're doing is saying, hey, you can make some money in the US. Give it a try. That's really what it comes down to. I can't remember who it was that developed Lost Odyssey. But Blue Dragon, that was the guy who made, he was a character designer for Dragon Ball and a bunch of other things. And, I would love to see them put more stuff back out, get experimental, get crazy. Let me see some of them Japanese games where, the dragon rides the woman through a forest of cupcakes. Give me some Japanese craziness. I that's what I would love to see. I want to see more things that we just don't get that I watch on YouTube. I'm like, I want to play that. That's what I want from this. But hopefully, hopefully they'll hire somebody that can do the job. That knows how to, coerce these developers into putting onto the Xbox. It's just a win-win, really. I mean, they may not hit the Japanese market with those developments, but they're definitely going to hit the American market.
Yeah, and Mistwalker Studios is the one that did both Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon.
They did Blue Dragon too.
They did.
Oh, sweet. Now, did they do anything else after that? Are they even around?
Yes, they did a phone game, and then they did a game for Apple Arcade. I think Apple Arcade game was the last one they did.
And that sucks because the Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey were freaking amazing, and then they go do turds. So that's awesome. I guess they, just finished quick and then left. So
they want to go the Cheers route, where they want to go to mobile, where everybody makes money, where everybody knows how to make money.
Yep,
that is true.
The mobile game and the Apple Arcade game did get good reviews all around. It's just, again, it kind of limits the people that can play those things, especially the Apple Arcade one. You need an Apple to play that, a certain Apple device or something like that. My girlfriend does have an Apple iPad, and she just got our Apple Arcade, a month of free. So that was the first thing I downloaded on there.
So did she get the free month, or did the boyfriend get the free month?
She got the free month, but she got it so I could play that game, because I told her I wanted to play it, because it is a full-fledged game. It's like a JRPG, but it's just on the Apple Arcade only. I don't know why developers do that. I guess if they get enough money, but regardless, I mean, hopefully we can see studios like Mistwalker and other Japanese studios start to make, because Mistwalker I don't think has made any games since the 360 for a console since then, from my understanding. I don't know what they're doing now, but the games like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey and other ones from Japanese developers, I just like to see more of that, because they do make a lot of games that I enjoy, especially RPGs and some action games and stuff like that. And there's just oddities, and being able to get into that market, being Microsoft, Shane was exactly right. Microsoft needed to get into that market share a long time ago. They should have been doing this a long time ago. They really need to get that market share from Japan, so that way, just like Pat said, we don't just have these Japanese games coming to Switch and PlayStation. So we have them coming to Xbox as well. So those people that, it's not necessarily for us because we own all the consoles, but for those people that may just have an Xbox, maybe they want to play these Japanese games and they can't because they don't have a PlayStation or a Switch, right? Or PC if they come to PC. And so, like Pat said, yeah, it would be great if everybody could get every game exactly day one, right? That's a lot of work, but I agree with that. I want every gamer out there to be able to play what they want to play, regardless of what it is and what console it's on or whatever. We're all for just playing video games. So, if you want to play something, I hope you can, right? I hope you have the ability to play it, because that's all we really want for all the gamers out there, is be able to play the things they want to play. But as a consumer and as a gamer, you got to jump through a lot of hoops sometimes to get to be able to play the things you want to play. So, and that makes it difficult. So anything that makes it a little bit easier or brings products to devices that don't already have it is, again, like we said, a win-win. A win for Microsoft in that case, but also a win for the consumers.
Yep, we just need more Japanese development. All right. Pat, Nick, you guys got anything else to say about this job opportunity before I put in your resumes? No? All right. Well, you made it this far, so thank you. And what do you think? Do you think Microsoft should continue to try to get that foot down in Japan, or, just cut it off and be done with it? I mean, what is your thoughts? Do you like Japanese developed games? Do you like JRPGs? Do you like the crazy games like Doki Doki and things like that? Let us know. And also make sure you hit like and subscribe, and all those good things and tell your friends about us. And we'll see you next time. See ya.